Don't worry, darling, because you can save your money and skip this mess. Hey everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to be giving you my review of one of the most talked about movies of the year, not necessarily in the best of ways. Don't worry, darling. Before we get started, you know what to do. I say it every video. Please go ahead and scroll down and subscribe. Ring that bell so you never miss any of my content, and you can also find the links to my Instagram and my TikTok in the description below. Let's get into it. Don't Worry, Darling centers on Alice, played by Florence Pugh, who is a housewife that appears to be living in the 50s, doing the usual stereotypical women roles from back then, like working to keep the house clean, hanging out with the other wives of the neighborhood and gossiping or practicing dance or swimming, and having dinner on the table when her husband gets home from work, Jack, played by Harry Styles, from his mysterious job known only as the Victory Project. But as Alice starts to notice more and more weird goings-on, eeriness, and weird behavior in the community, she begins to question her entire life and pry deeper for answers, but she may not want to find them. After the metric crap ton of buzz surrounding this movie, whether it's Olivia Wilde hooking up with Harry Styles and cheating on Jason Sudeikis, or Florence Pugh and her getting into screaming matches on set, or Olivia Wilde leaving the set completely, leaving Florence Pugh having to actually direct some scenes, or Shia LaBeouf coming public about the fact that he left the movie out of scheduling concerns, not Olivia Wilde's story that she publicized about wanting to create a safe environment for Florence Pugh, or the biggest debate of our modern era, surpassing even the Laurel and Yanny thing, or whether that freaking dress was white and gold or black and blue. Did Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine? All the drama and buzz, along with the fact that Florence Pugh has been absent from pretty much all of the press tour of this movie, has really piqued people's interest, honestly more than the movie itself. So that being said, is Don't Worry Darling actually good? Well, I've got 3 words to sum it up for you. And to make this review easy on myself and easy for everybody to follow, I'm going to separate it into 3 sections, one for each of those words, before going into a brief-ish spoiler section, so hopefully I can keep this one short. So the first word I would use to describe Don't Worry, Darling is intriguing. And no, I'm not just talking about the mystery of the film and the tension that ramps up throughout the first half of the movie. Yes, these points are definitely intriguing, and the mystery is withheld and teased just enough to get you really interested in finding out what it is, but none of that would matter whatsoever if it wasn't backed up by the stunning 1950s inspired sets, cars, costumes, the wonderful score that sets the tone, before growing a little dark and mysterious as the movie goes on, and a fantastic lead performance from Florence Pugh as Alice, which if you've seen any of her other filmography, you shouldn't be surprised by that. The mystique behind Chris Pine's villainous Frank is also intriguing, even if he's not in the movie all that much, but with his limited screen time, he gives a sinister and charming enough performance to where your eyes just end up glued to him on the screen. And whenever it's just him and Florence Pugh, the movie is honestly great.
I've been waiting for someone like you, someone to challenge me.
Plus, the cinematography is very well done and shows off those 1950s sets, and gets even better during those really trippy and claustrophobic scenes that were teased in the trailer. All of these factors just draw you in and leave you, well, intrigued. But once the reveal happens, you realize that this movie is a little messy, which is also the second word that I'm going to use to describe this film. The first half is so intriguing and builds the mystery so well. The only thing that was really holding it back at that point was Harry Styles' performance, but I'll talk about that later. Once the reveal comes and we finally realize what this is, what's the Victory Project, what's the true motivation behind the Victory Project, the movie falls apart, and it falls apart fast. I'll keep it vague for now since I'm talking spoilers at the end, but essentially that big reveal was just incredibly disappointing. If you've seen any movie in your life with that kind of premise of, is this really real, or what's going on, what is this world that I'm in, then you probably already know where this movie is going, and it's pretty cliche and predictable, honestly. Not to mention the fact that when you think of the logic behind the situation and reveal, the movie falls apart even more, and is just a testament to how terrible that script is. This reveal was almost on a Now You See Me level with how it just basically calls the entire movie into question and retroactively makes the whole thing worse. Plus, the themes and relevancy, if you can call it that, behind the film's reveal are very played out and have shown up in so many other movies and have been done much better, to the point where every time I see this plot point, I'm really annoyed by it. But I'm going to mention that in a little bit with the third and final word that I will use to describe Don't Worry Darling, shallow. This movie is a textbook example of style over substance. It may not be in the Transformers way where it's big CGI fights over the story, but when it comes to the writing, the themes, and the overall story of this movie, it honestly couldn't be more shallow. The only characters that have any real development in this film are Florence Pugh's Alice, Chris Pine's Frank, and Harry Styles as Jack. Everyone else kind of just has a line here and there or stands around in the background, and we come to learn pretty much zero information about them by the end of the film. Olivia Wilde gets a little bit of development, which you shouldn't be surprised about since she's the director, but they waste a really talented supporting cast, especially Nick Kroll. Nick Kroll has like 3 lines in the entire movie. And just to back up and mention Harry Styles again on this film, I honestly wish Shia LaBeouf would have been able to play this role because I feel like that would have just elevated the movie more. But for what it is, Styles just really didn't have it. Sure, he was great in Dunkirk, but that was a very quiet role, didn't require that much dialogue, and he just had to kind of be stoic and badass throughout that movie and not really have a range of emotion. Here, he stumbles through this movie in mediocre script. I know that he's English in real life, and in the movie his character's supposed to be British, but that British accent falters so much, and it honestly seems like he just keeps switching between a mediocre British accent, an Americanized English accent, and his regular English accent, and it's so distracting.
Not everyone gets this opportunity. And if you keep talking like this, you're going to put it all at risk.
He also came across very wooden during the more quiet scenes, while being laughably over the top in the more serious or intense scenes. I accidentally laughed out loud during a part of the movie that's supposed to be very pivotal and intense, and I felt like such an asshole afterward. Plus, Styles and Florence Pugh have zero chemistry, and the only reason they even appear like a legit, relatable couple every now and then is because of Florence Pugh's talent. Even their sex scenes...
Believe the things I've heard. Jack and Alice only have time for each other.
As a major talking point behind the film are filmed so conventionally and so boring that honestly they just took up wasted time of the movie. They're shallow, just like 90% of the film. So many intriguing shots, setups, weird visuals, mysterious lines, and more from the first half that you think are actually going to go somewhere and be a little deep are basically all but dropped after the reveal, leading to plenty of plot holes and plenty of wait, what moments that stem from it. Lastly, in discussing just how shallow Don't Worry Darling is, the movie throws away any interesting discussion that could have been had regarding this situation and its cliche as hell reveal in favor of a "Yas Queen" kind of rushed ending that didn't really have any build up and felt like it just came out of nowhere.
That's our girl.
Yes, Queen!
And then the movie literally just ends, leaving people like me kind of confused and a little mad when we walk out of the theater. Okay, so to talk more about that reveal and what exactly I didn't like about it, I'm gonna have to go into spoilers. So here's your spoiler warning. If you don't want any spoilers for Don't Worry Darling, skip to this timestamp right here. Okay, there's your warning, let's get into it. After all that mystery, all those weird plot points, that tension, those red herrings, it turns out that Alice is not actually a housewife from the 50s, but a surgeon living in current-day New York. The Victory Project, it's not a town in the 50s, it's actually just a simulation. Alice and Jack live in a tiny New York City apartment, her working 30-hour surgical shifts because Jack lost his job, and he sits at home all day listening to podcasts and being radicalized by an online incel community, the Victory Project, led by Frank. Never seen that done before, and definitely never seen done before with villains in a film, and not this year with the Batman and Scream. I'm so over this plot point. So yeah, once again, the evil white man convinces all the other evil men to take up his cause and do horrific things, this time kidnapping wives or girlfriends, strapping them to their beds, and forcibly putting them into this VR simulation where they forget their real life and kind of go along with this fantasy here. And their mysterious Victory Project jobs, that's just their regular 9-to-5s that they're leaving to work every single day so they can afford to pay for their housing and keep their wives in this simulation. Not only is this reveal and plot point just incredibly cliche like I already said, but this just calls the entire movie and plot into question and adds so many plot holes into that script. For instance, how are nobody looking for these women? Especially with Alice's character. If she's as important of a surgeon as the movie is making us believe, if she doesn't show up for her 30-hour shift, someone's gonna notice and come looking for her. But I also understand a lot of the weird visuals and red herrings from the beginning even less after the simulation reveal. The plane that crashes that is never explained. The dancing women. The earthquakes while the men are working all day.
Boys and their toys.
The closing in hallway. It honestly just felt like those things were there to be weird and be put in the trailers to get people interested in the movie because they literally went nowhere. So yeah, all in all, that reveal just really did not work for me. And really just messes up the rest of the movie. The writing, the characters, the plot, everything. Okay, that's it for spoilers, and coincidentally, that's actually it for my review. Olivia Wilde may not be the best person, but she is very talented, she's a great actress, and I thought that Booksmart was a really fun movie. But I think she shot a little too high with this one. Don't Worry, Darling is definitely intriguing with its great visuals, fantastic performance from Florence Pugh, wonderful score, and great way that they tease the mystery and reveal throughout the first half of the movie, but it's also incredibly messy and shallow with a really bad second half, awful performance from Harry Styles, along with the way the movie glances over and just rushes through things that should have had so much more development, like the absolutely wasted talent in its supporting cast like Olivia Wilde and Nick Kroll. And, of course, the just plain bad reveal that adds plot holes, calls the rest of the movie into question, and is incredibly cliche and lazy, especially for 2022. And that's my review of Don't Worry, Darling. If you liked this review and found it helpful, please go ahead and leave a like. You can also go ahead and comment, let me know what you liked about the review, or if you hated it, or what you thought about the movie. You can also scroll down and subscribe and ring the bell so that you never miss any of my content. I also have the links to my TikTok and my Instagram in the description below if you guys want to check those out too. You can also click or tap on these cards here. They'll take you to my review of Pearl, or just go to my channel where you can check out my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Just wanted to show these two good girls. They were literally just laying there watching me in silent support while I recorded my review. You're the best, Annie and Maddie.